Pacts are Soulframe's core class-like system and your envoy's primary source of power in combat. This mystical arm, which is bound to your Fey-touched right side, grants unique abilities and allows you to use big, flashy moves, or more passive ones like boosting party stats basically. Mastering Pacts is key to defining how you fight, explore, and grow throughout Mid-Wrath. In this video, I'll guide you on all the fundamentals about Pacts, which will save you tons of hours, so as always, smash that like and subscribe button if you find this guide at all insightful, and let's dive right in. So first and foremost, at the very start of the game, you will decide on one of 3 pacts, but don't worry, you can always change them later. And if you are a first-time player, I will always recommend starting on the Oscelda Pact, which is the Pact of Spirit. Reason being, this pact is pretty much overpowered at the beginning because of the area healing buff, but if you prefer any of the others, that's fine too. What you need to know first is that pacts in Soulframe revolve around 3 unique active abilities known as arcanics, which appear in the bottom right corner of your screen. These skills pretty much define your playstyle and also grow stronger as you rank up with that certain pact equipped. Unlocking them is straightforward and happens automatically, so you don't need to go and rank up individually. However, there are other ways to customize this pact, which I will get into in a second. Now, to unlock each arcanic, simply level up by reaching full access by pact level 10, which comes relatively quickly in the early game. Let's take Oscelda as an example. When you first equip it, you begin with only Elder Bloom. This plants a glowing flower that does healing over time to you and any nearby allies. At pact level 5, you unlock Phantom Flock, which calls down a swarm of sorts of spectral songbirds. These birds attack a targeted enemy and deals repeated damage while also staggering and interrupting other enemies around it. Then finally, at level 10, you gain Bestone, which is a projectile that explodes on impact and petrifies up to 4 enemies in a wide area. These petrified enemies take bonus damage when struck. So this is also another bonus part in the game. As of now, each pack goes up to rank 30. So as you continue ranking higher, each arcanic improves significantly and gains things like a larger radius, longer duration, stronger effects, and better scaling with your virtues, which does tie into the pact, but not so much early on. The gauges normally fill up slowly on their own as you fight, however they can also gain an instant boost when you smite. For example, if you smite the red glow, it instantly raises the courage arcanic, which is the one on the left, green is in the middle, and blue, which is grace, is on the right side. And yeah, that's the basics of pacts, but we can take customization a little further and tie it into your character and even your entire armor. So, like I said, pacts in Soulframe act like modular, swappable classes that you equip, and while each pact gives you a unique set of 3 arcanic abilities and its own distinct playstyle, it does not lock you into specific weapons or armor, which means you can freely mix any pact with any weapon or armor set you like. What truly makes the pacts integrate into those armor and weapons is their dedicated skill tree called Pact Arts. As you level your equipped pact to rank 30 through combat and activities, you earn skill points that you can spend in the tree however you want. For example, investing in virtue nodes like this one, for example, adds extra courage points to your build, which directly increases your damage output and armor effectiveness if your weapons and armor are attuned to that virtue. Other nodes improve arcanic cooldowns, health, stagger resistance, or add powerful passives unique to that pact. Each pact is different, but the concept is pretty much the same. And yeah, guys, that's pretty much sums up pacts. So there are 9 obtainable pacts in Soulframe, excluding the Founders Edition pacts. There is the Oscelda Pact, which is focused on the Mage or Spirit class. You can obtain this pact by getting around 100, standing at rank 2 with Alka's Children, or for 12,500, standing at rank 3 with Kith of Kings or Silent Rose. There's also an option to buy it from Zenith for 150 arcs if you prefer premium currency. The 3 abilities are Bestone, and it's like turning enemies into stone statues. You shoot a projectile that explodes and petrifies a group of them up to 4 in a decent area. While they're stuck, they take much more damage from your next hit. So it basically doubles the damage on the first strike that breaks them free, but any damage at all will snap them out of it early. Then there's Elder Bloom, which is the healing one. You grow a magical flower on the ground that steadily heals you and all nearby allies over time, which is roughly around 18 to 20 seconds of group healing. Then the third arcanic is Phantom Flock, that summons a swarm of birds that dive bomb your target, dealing repeated damage while staggering them and also anyone nearby. Tethren is the tanky melee warrior pact and can be obtained by buying the recipe from faction vendors. It's available for about 12,500 standing. Once you reach rank 3 with Alka's Children or Silent Rose, and again you can also grab it from Zenith for premium currency. The first arcanic is called Fellust. This is your damage ramp up. So every successful melee hit builds stacks that make your next attacks hit harder and harder, up to several charges. The second one is called Call of the Ancients. You sing an ancient war song that draws enemy attention. Basically, it taunts them to attack you instead of allies, all while boosting your weapon damage and giving a nice damage reduction buff. Lastly is Clash, where you slam the ground or unleash a shockwave that staggers and knocks back nearby enemies while also reducing how much stagger you take yourself for a bit. Next is Sirin, which is the Stealthy Assassin Pact. You can get it by buying the recipe for around 12,500, standing at rank 3 with Alka's Children or Kith of Kings, or you can grab it from Zenith for premium currency. The 3 Arcanics are Pictrix Powder, where you throw a cloud of magical dust that blinds and staggers enemies in an area. Trick of the Light, where you shoot out a decoy that taunts enemies and draws their attention, and then explodes for damage when they get close. And finally, Glamour, which turns you into a swarm of glowing night moths to sneak around and can line you up for perfect backstabs. Next is an easier-to-obtain pact, the Bromius Pact. You can unlock it by completing the Wastebear Fable, which is the story quest involving Verminia in the Nightfold. The 3 Arcanics are Rump Thump, where you leap into the air and dive down doing area damage. Weave Troot, which summons roots to grab and damage enemies over time. And lastly, the Song of Growth ability that buffs armor for you and nearby allies. Next is Garren Rood, which is a spirit-focused pact and is unlocked by completing the Torment Stag Fable, which is another main story quest involving the Glades Dungeon and Lady Diora. The 3 Arcanics are Torment, which is a strong single-target ability that leeches a big chunk of an enemy's life and heals you, plus nearby allies. Then there's Behest, an area crowd control that incapacitates or blinds enemies in a radius, making them vulnerable and easier to finish off. And lastly, there's Stampede, which summons a herd of stags that charge through an area, dealing damage and staggering everything in their path. Next is my personal favorite, the Orengall. You can get it through the She-Wolf Snared Fable, which is a story quest involving freeing the she-wolf Orengall and her pups. The first ability is Werewalker. This one transforms you into a wolf for high mobility, stealth, and ends with an attack or finisher. Although the downside is, your normal body stays behind and is vulnerable. Then the second ability is Pack Hunter. This one summons spectral wolves up to 2 or more, with upgrades that draw aggro, deal damage, and fight alongside you. Finally, there's Howl. This one gives a buff that increases damage and your smite chance for you and allies, plus it can turn enemy dogs against their masters. The next pact is Mora's Hand, which is the fiery, explosive pact that is themed around the Red Sun deity Mora. This is a higher rank faction pact, so you will need to reach rank 5 with the Kith of Kings faction, and it usually costs around 25,000 standing. The 3 abilities are Ignis Wrath. This one strikes the ground to send out trails of fire in multiple directions. Then there's Ember, which is a sort of reactive buff where getting hit triggers a fiery area blast around you. Then there's Inferno. This one launches a fireball that deals extra damage and ragdolls enemies already on fire. Next is Ode Tempest, and it's a high-rank faction pact. You need to reach rank 5 with either Alka's Children or Silent Rose, and it costs roughly around 27,500 standing. The 3 Arcanics are Sizemore, which launches a rolling ball of destruction that bowls over enemies and explodes for huge area damage and stagger. Then there's Astra's Sphere, which creates a storm zone that makes enemies take extra voltaic damage, which is perfect for amplifying your attacks. And finally, there's Atmosphere, which summons orbiting protective orbs that guard you and grant damage immunity to you and allies, and is one of the best defensive abilities in the game. Then finally, we have the Duelo Pact, and it's the latest one, up to Preludes 15. You need to complete the Wreck of Mestra Carmo Fable, which is a story quest involving shipwrecks, ribbons, duels, and facing Mestra Carmo out at sea. The abilities are Flintlock, where you draw your pistol and fire a powerful piercing shot that goes through enemies and explodes on impact. Bravado, which buffs the highest virtue of you and nearby allies, while slowing enemies in the area. And then finally Duelo, which spawns a ghostly clone that mirrors your attacks and creates massive burst windows and extra pressure on your enemy. And yeah, guys, that's about everything there is to know about packs so far. Thanks for watching, and if you found this guide at all insightful, smash that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.